Okay, this is Skip Opotamus, your roving reporter out here with Chicken Little News.
Continue on I-69 South for 44 miles.
The sky is not falling, and I'm on 69 South coming out of Michigan into Indiana. So, oh, I gotta write that down. Oh, I already did. Ha-ha! Take your notes as you go. And then, okay, I've made some notes here because I was taking a shower and thoughts come to my head. But of course, kind of hard to write stuff down in that moment. So, can you write in the rain? That's a capability you might need one day. If you need it, there's really no substitute. So, yeah, we are not taking the toll road for sure. Okay. What's up, YouTubers? How about that for an introduction? Okay, this is, I'm posting this on YouTube, but this is just me, I'm saving this for later so I can make stuff. When I deliver a speech to the Cherokee Nation, it's fired up using casino money to look at what their independent industries are doing. Okay, so there's of course, there's a guy on the internet, and he makes stuff, right? And he does stuff. A lot of stuff that he does is pretty cool and highly encouraging. One of the things is the Prepper Classroom. You need to go to Very Independent and look at the Prepper Classroom. Okay? And I want to go to the Cherokee Nation and say, you remember how, what's his name? Used, how to write stuff down? And then he came back and he showed y'all. I keep wanting to say Sacagawea. That's not his name. I can't believe I can't remember his dude's name. He wrote the language. And he was a great teacher. And he was a great guy. But really all he did was connect the dots. Like Mark Zuckerberg. All the technology's already there. He connected the dots. Steve Jobs, idea guy. Connected some dots. Okay? So, it's not that you gotta calm down enough to have the thought. You know what I mean? It just kind of dawns on you, and in that moment you have to capture the dot, and then probably thousands of people have the same idea. Like, you're not unique. You are, but you ain't. It's you don't have the market cornered on good ideas, and then some people will never have a good idea because they're stupid. And that's okay. We should help them. Anyway, the way that people learn nowadays, I call it the YouTube certification. Okay, so I can think about stuff and need to do something. I'm like, how do I change the alternator on a 1994 Chevrolet pickup? If you've done it, it's very doable. If you've never done it, and the last time you opened a hood, it was on a 2024 Chevrolet Duramax diesel. It's very intimidating. So it's not, when you find out that the 94 is so much easier, it's like, oh wow. Then you look at the 84, and it's like, so you're telling me there's no tension or pulley, and I just gotta yank on this thing hard enough to keep the belt from slipping and tighten the bolt at the same time. I remember, I'm not gonna do that. I got about 12 stories come to mind. We'll skip story time on this deal. So, this is a long form video of this short form video. When I need something, I look at YouTube. I get my YouTube certification. Okay? I might post my freaking statement from my mortgage. I might actually put that as the picture on here. Simply because I did a fair amount of YouTube certification to get my mortgage, and I got it at 2.5%. And I didn't try to get the mortgage. Maybe I decided like I wanted to buy a house 2 years before, so I started building my credit. Bought the bike, bought the Subaru, but the Subaru didn't count because the stupid First Progress credit card was it turned me off because I wasn't losing enough money. So when I went to get the Subaru, it wasn't on the thing, so it messed it up. So anyway, I had to build up the credit, but I didn't get no credit for paying off a brand new Subaru in 4 years. It's not on my thing at all. So yeah, all that thing about keep your first credit card, no, hell no. Cancel your first credit card after you get the second. Keep the second credit card. You ain't got to keep paying the thieves anyway. But you got to get your foot in the door one way or another. Okay, so I get the mortgage and everything, but I didn't know all the specifics about filing your homestead, and then also there's a way you can capture as a deductible some of the stuff attached to your home, such as interest, escrow, and devaluing the property. So, the 30-year deal, a 30-year schedule, you can value this house down to nothing. So, what I think a fair estimate is like $450 or $500 at the time, and so you can divide 500, or we'll say 440 divided by 30. You take the 0 off, 3 will go into 44, 14 and a half times. So like my house is depreciating like $15,000 a year, so I can write that off, a percentage of it or something. I don't know. You have to talk to a tax professional about that. But I was unaware of that. I was unaware that I could do my own escrow, and then by paying my escrow with a credit card, apply, get the available balance, pay it. I just pay one time, and then I just pay off the credit card. But that revolves through there. And my thought was I need enough to be able to go sign a piece of paper to get a semi truck. That's the goal. 400 semis going down the road, making revenue. If I have, at the time I had talked to a guy, he has 100 trucks. He's down there in Fort Worth, and he told me that all he wanted was $50 or $500 a week. If he can make $500 profit every week off each truck, 100 trucks, that's all he needs. So if you got 100 trucks and you make $500 a week, now these trucks are doing between $5,000 and $12,000 revenue every week. So gleaning 500 off the top, or out the middle, or through the bottom, whatever, it's doable. But I think that I'm going to do everything it takes to operate a vehicle for a week for $500. That sounds like a nightmare. But when I think I can hire the right people to fix the truck, drive the truck, finance the truck, dispatch the truck, do collections, do safety, have a yard, some place to work on stuff, have an office for people to come to the office. Now, I'm not doing shit, but getting $500 a week, 100 times, that's $50,000 a week, That's $50,000 a week. Makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it? And the thought of doing that is going from I do not have a bank account to I'm making $50,000 a week, not touching nothing. How am I going to go from over here to over here, right? So with that in mind, This is before the pandemic or anything else like that. You know, I just, knew everybody said the world's going to end every couple years to herd the sheeple. So now the stage is set in 2026. We see things, we got generals in the United States military throwing around the word Armageddon. That's an indicator. That's a solid indicator. The times may be short. And from reading the Bible, we know that the mystery Babylon falls. So that's bad. Then the bear and the dragon attack the nation state located in Palestine. And there's this valley out there called Armageddon. A 2 million man army marches on the people group called Israel in the land of Canaan. Because that's what it actually is. So, yeah, boy. With that in mind, how am I going to feed my family and like not die? And maybe we'll be raptured, or maybe we're going to see like the wrath of God. I don't freaking know. I don't profess to know. It seems like a concern so big that most people can't wrap their head around it because they get scared. And then a lot of the women get emotional at this point where they're like, we're all going to die. But statistically speaking, we're not dead. At no time that I know of in my, half a century of running around on the planet has any of this happened. Like the end of the world. Like going back a couple thousand years for sure. Maybe 7. So anyway, this is what I'm talking to myself videos. I'm supposed to be playing this. Let's play this. Let's get back on. With all this in mind, I'm like, okay, so how am I going to unify a group of people to live through the supposed end of the world, but it's not really, because they're just bullshit. And that's very true. They do that a lot. So statistically speaking, it's probably not the end of the world, but they're all talking shit, acting like it, so that they can take all our stuff and make us slaves. Yeah, let that sink in. It was sinking in on me when I said that. Like I think I just hit the nail on the head. Okay, so how am I going to avoid this? How am I going to avoid the mark of the beast? And remain undocumented. Shit, they already got me. I got bedazzled thinking about making $50,000 a week. I spent the last 10 years striving, but I should have just kept smoking weed, living out in the woods in Oklahoma. Turns out I left it paradise to come out here, live in a plastic truck, get the certifications and documentation necessary to play ball with Satan himself. And I might go to hell for it. And that's true. But maybe not. Maybe it's something different. I don't freaking know. I don't know. I know, but I'm driving around and I'm just like, well, how can I help some people? So I read the Bible and stuff, and it's like the unforgivable sin is, denying that Jesus is your Savior. I reject the person that died for my sin, I have to pay my own sin debt. Therefore, nobody's paying it for me. So, like, I'm not forgiven. Like, if you're forgiven, like, you don't have to pay for your sin. But if you don't accept that, then by default, you are now in the danger of paying for it yourself. Every person has sinned. The wages of sin is death. None are righteous, no, not one. He's no respecter of persons. Just because grandma went to church doesn't mean that you're going to make it. So you got to get that right. So we need to take that to every corner of the earth so all people can have the opportunity to live. That's good. But then what does that practically look like in between here and there? Let's just say the rapture is real and it happens before the Great Tribulation. Let's just make that assumption. Okay? What are we going to leave for the people that did not get saved? I'm not a very good steward of my time and effort if I just disappear and I have left nothing for everybody else to work with. Right? So, rapture, no rapture, capture, no capture, going up, going down, Savior or not, I'm kind of chicken shit if I don't leave somebody a cave full of stuff and a little bit of knowledge how to use the stuff. So what is stuff and how do we use it? How do we obtain it as a group? You know what I mean? So man, you can educate yourself via the internet and stuff. YouTube's real good at it. People made a video about everything. You can't trust all of it. But I can show you the mortgage I got from following some of that stuff. And I can show you where the strategy I got, it kind of put me in the right direction. But there's a lot of details in there that I did not know that I could have done better had I sat down with a professional and got the paperwork from the title company and sat down with a lawyer before I signed anything instead of being pressured in this 3-month process and dragging everything out so that they can pressure you to not look at it. Because that's what they do. And which makes them viperous. And yeah. So, boy, that's the thing there. I got mixed emotions. Like a large part of me wants to just, go in there like, bam, bam, and just swat this dude with a mallet across his forehead. And then on the other side, like, I totally would have lost my house without this dude's help. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm talking about the title company guy. I didn't go through a lawyer because I'm stupid like that. And I'm advising you to do it smarter than I did. And yeah, anyways. So, with those things...
There are police reported ahead.
Yeah, what is that guy's name? What is that guy's name? Sequoia. Okay. I want to go in front of the council of the Cherokee Indians and be like, hey man, Sequoia wrote stuff down. And now everybody's got YouTube stuff. Like, let's switch up the way that we learn. You know what I mean? Like, do learning the way that they educate. Look at the way they educate in Japan, because they're really good at it. And then let's look at the Inuit Indians and the way that they raise their kids to be respectful, and they're not violent towards their family. And one of the ways that they do that is the mother will tell the young child, hit me. And when they hit me, they say, ow, why did you do that? And they're like, well, you told me to. But why would you do that? And then you let the kid come to the conclusion, like, I don't want to hurt my family when they're wee little. And then, like, their whole life, like, they're chill.
There are police reported ahead.
Versus, you know, dad's an alcoholic and you raise up watching a fist fight, boxing in the living room. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, I'm going to kick his ass. Anyways, there's also the YouTube certification style. You know what I mean? And then, like I'm going to compile a list of the things that I've seen on YouTube that I just think, like, if kids paid attention to this, they would grow into wise adults. You know what I mean? And then, like, stuff for adults and for the whole tribe. And just 7-clan this deal. You know what I mean? So, I've got several playlists here on my thing. And I didn't really know where I was going with it or whatever else like that. I did, you know, the question is, like, if you're gonna do some stuff, well, the Bible hit me. You know, there's 1,000 years where we live on the earth in peace. Obviously, has not happened yet. So, what does that look like? You know what I mean? And we see the structure and stuff like that in Leviticus and everything, and it's the structure, that's the skeleton. But I think there's something about understanding the Cherokee way and the 7 clans and what all that meant, like day one, like freaking Mayflower, like in 1400, what did their system look like for daily life in America? Their kinship, their one-ship with nature, that is not really expounded upon in the book of Leviticus. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't read a whole lot about, you know, a lot of things. Anyways, the concept of communal living. See, there's something about, you know, we're a community and we're all in it together. And then there's something about this is my individual property and stuff. And then you gotta understand, like when in Leviticus they got land to give out to them, and then that growed, and families turned into tribes, turned into what, 8 billion people. You know what I mean? So we're having problems scaling this situation. And the psychopaths end up in charge, which is less than optimal for peace. To say the absolute nicest thing I can say about that situation. So what are the checks and balances and stuff like that? And what is the, like, man, there's letter of the law, skeleton, and then there's rapport between the people. You know what I mean? And being a good dude, and just being a good dude. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's anybody that well, there's people, but there's not a whole lot of people that understand that like the word house. It's like, this is a house. This is a house. It's for the tribe. We all pitched in to whatever degree, with whatever goods and skills. You know what I mean? And somebody's responsible for taking care of it or whatever like that. You know what I mean? So, like, by far, my wife is in charge of my property in Texas. By leaps and bounds. I don't pay attention to all that shit. But she's there every day and she takes care of stuff. And when I show up, I'm like, you know, we have got to tighten up on security. You know, there's some other issues. I need to, you know, clean the gutter. You know, and like I told her, I'm like, I'm structure. a year decoration. You know what I mean? And we were remodeling the apartment. You know, I had to go in there and redo the structure in a couple spots and make it strong. I'm like, you don't get to tell me the structure, and I don't get to tell you what to put on the wall. Because we argued one time about like what picture to put where. I'm like, I don't want it there. I want it there. There was this big fuss. And I come to the conclusion that she can put a picture wherever she wants. I got to make sure that it's watertight, structurally sound, and, you know, can turn a bullet if somebody's outside shooting at us. She's too emotional to fathom what do I do when there's people outside shooting into the house. I was raised in a trailer house, and I know how easily a bullet will pass through a trailer house. However, you know, if you're framed with 2x6s instead of 2x4s, and then, you know, you put up your wire lath with the 2x4 regular wall, wire lath, well, what do they call it? It might be called wire lath. Anyway, insulating all that, and then fill it with gravel. You go, you got your stud, here's your exterior sheathing of your choice, and then the wire lath. Insulate, wire lath, and then put a 2x4 flat, making a T, so you have a T-studded structure, and then put up another thing of wire lath, and then just fill it with gravel. Surprising how much that will stop bullets from going through your house. And then, you know, stucco on the outside. Not the cheapest thing to build, but it has structure. And it has mass. And those rocks on the inside of your house warm up. Of course, you want to put drywall over that. But they get warm. They retain temperature. So it gets really cold outside. And then, you know, you got your air-conditioned house on the inside. Or your HVAC. Stable. You know what I mean? And then you like run some stuff in the ground and run that through the slab of your house. Circulate that. So you got a geothermal coming up. And then your regular HVAC, and then rocks to hold the thermal inside. So you have these times where it's like really hot for a long time. Then it gets super cold for like 2 days. You know what I mean? And like your electric bill's next to nothing. Anyways. Now think about a modern house. Like if you're going to go just build a single-story house, cheap as possible, go to Home Depot and look at that shed. Imagine you pulled wires and plumbing through the wall, insulate, cover it with drywall, paint it, you're done. Versus the description of the home that I just talked about. It's the differences. It's apples to oranges. You're comparing a Nissan Frontier pickup with a Sherman tank. It's completely different. You know, like what has tires, what has tracks, armor. I mean, like, yeah, fuel. It's just, it ain't the same. It's apples to oranges. But to build these communal houses like that, like, you know, the Vikings had the longhouse. If you got T design and you dig 2 foot down into the ground, and then at the bottom of that, do your geothermal circulation, put your slab 2 foot below grade. You know? And then all your windows appropriate. You know what I mean? And if somebody's shooting at your house, everybody that decides to duck which I've never seen anybody get shot at that did not attempt to duck. It's a natural human response. So if you're gonna have a group of people at a worship service in a log house, yo, you start out 2 foot in the ground. I think your geothermal is running through your slab. The rest of the piping is about 2 foot in the ground. You know what I mean? So you can trench out, loop around, come back in, come in with your liquid, come in with your natural gas, come in with your electricity from the grid and the electricity from your solar above. Make normal size house. Do a pony wall. Make normal house. You drive by, you look over there and say, oh, that's a 3-bedroom house. And then just roof it with solar panels. Do your roofing with solar panels. You can make a flat your ceiling from your attic. It can be 2 foot down from your eave. And bro, you can put the what do people put them homeless vans? They stick them up in the window. Mylar. You can put that in the substrate of your actual roof and just flat roof that sucker. So with the TPO, you could go in what would be your attic floor and just cover it with the TPO and turn up the wall 4 to 6 inches. And you can lap that, and you can lay that down, you can weld that in place and build over it, or you can substrate and then use that as your final floor, and then your whole attic becomes a place to play and, you know, have a pool table or whatever like that. And a little window. You can put a hinge on your freaking average solar panel where it just opens like a door. And the industrial panels, you can walk right across the glass. It will freak you out, but you can. I've done it. I've built the stuff right there in Tulsa. You pull up to this house, oh, it's got a lot of solar panels on it. Next thing you know, the solar panel opens up and freaking Terminator pops up, you know. Put a little hand crank on your freaking redneck phalanx system with the... Hey, I'm saying too much. Anyway, we call that his secure place. I've drawn out designs and everything for all this stuff. I did all the architecture stuff, figured out, you know, the dimensional drawings, blah, blah, blah. Page after page after page after page. Getting all that together and then giving it to somebody that will actually listen. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part, getting them to listen. And then on the other hand, like, you know, trying to not get, you know, tried to not get what the guy got that made the car that ran on water. So the way a man can get around all this stuff is to just walk in obedience. And the time is coming where it will be appropriate to bring forth these things. And I think the way to do it is through the Cherokee Nation. Because they have some loopholes and stuff, and they have some authority that you kind of cannot get that except going through the Indians. And it's surprising, actually, what a man can get done, but he does not care who gets the credit. So, you know, if you really want to affect change, you got to realize the game you're playing, and you got to know where you're at and what you're doing. So, we're in America. There's certain treaties, certain laws, and there's fucking paperwork that is in place already that just ain't being used. And we're significant hardship and stuff like that. So with just the heart of, I don't want my family to die, it's pretty easy to figure out which direction I should go. Yeah, because I'm out here, I'm driving by myself, and I'm like, I got to walk home in the apocalypse, right? And I'm like, oh shit, my wife is not by my side. How am I going to take care of her? And then it's like, my whole country needs protected. And then it's like, God has children around the world. What does that look like? And then like, with the imagination of 1,000 years where Jesus is the Lord. Like the way Lord, like landlord. Like he's the king. You know what I mean? Like there's a king of England and you live in England and he makes decrees and stuff and all that. But when Jesus is the Lord of earth, how can I prepare the people for that? How can I do that now? What the fuck am I waiting for? What the fuck are you waiting for? I think people just don't have this concept. Really. And I think the founding fathers and all the people before, even St. Patrick, had this in mind. I'm pretty sure they had this in mind, and some psychopath just drunk on lust and greed, which all lust is greed, but so's pride. Pride is greed as well. I think a lot of people miss that. Anyway, these psychos rise to power because they're willing to kill. They're willing to lose time, treasure, and blood of the innocent. You know what I mean? Like, no normal person, if you go to them and say, hey, I'm going to do this evil shit to your family if you don't do what I say. If you believe they have that possible capacity, 99.9% of people will do what they can to save their family. You know what I mean? So we see that there's every now and then there's that motherfucker that won't, and they end up rising to power. Now, are they a good son of a bitch, or are they a dirty motherfucker? They ain't right either way. But is God? Do they recognize God so that they're used for His kingdom appropriately, properly, in obedience? That's where you get into your discipline. Okay, so like as a chieftain over a nation of people, the Cherokee, if the chief and the council and everybody, you got your peacetime chief, and then you got your wartime chief, and there has to be an understanding that there needs to be a third where it's a spiritual warfare all the time. I think they call those medicine men. Anyway, but there has to be a realization that the unseen realm is controlling what is seen. I'm driving down the road because I got, information. I got electronic notification to go and do. Now I'm going and doing. And the deal I made was that if I go and do, I will receive monetary units that I can disperse within the community to provide.
In half a mile, keep left to stay on I-69 South.
And if I tow the road, I get food and clothes out of this deal. Sometimes, coffee. Anyways, so to be able to go there,
keep left to stay on I-69 South.
It'd be the innovation to change the nation using my gray matter.
Continue on I-69 South for 111 miles.
To use my brain to go back to the books and hit the books and go back or go forward to the YouTube certification for concept, clarification, and application, and insert good. Because I'm out here gleaning this stuff, I'm going to start putting together some stuff that I wish I just had my whole playlist, my whole YouTube history, and what makes sense. And maybe whoever made the internet this is what they were doing. They were using it to guide and lead the crowd, and then what you choose to look at is what you turn into. And, I'm just the germ on the little slide. Realize the scientist is looking at me. There's a song where he goes, he says, "Look what I've become." It's kind of a sad song, a little bit heavy metal, and that has an effect on the guy. So I'm driving down the road. I'm trying not to fall asleep because if I crash the truck, game over. So I'm listening to this loud music at night. It's like, look at what I've become. And I'll think about that. I'll just pause it every now and then. I'll be like, okay. And I just go into this deep thought because it's boring driving. You know what I mean? So, being bored and going into deep thought, who has that capacity to do that? Well, if I find me about 400 of them, how am I going to find 400 people? And then, vet them down to where here's this thinking group and create this thinking group. You know what I mean? Well, I probably need to select from a tribe that has, endured the Trail of Tears and has the mentality from day one, because the way they were raised when they were wee little. Making notes of that and bringing that to fruition. There can be a family-based, people would what I'm fixing to say is racist, but it ain't a race. It's a different family. It's a different family. It's not a different race. We're all humans, except for the lizard people, maybe. I don't fucking know. However, most of us are humans. Actually, we're kind of cyborgs if you got real technical. What I'm talking about, I probably just lost half the crowd. When you interface with these devices and it's doing part of your thinking, and I'm driving in a truck right now. I'm interacting with you via the cell phone, and I'm physically just me, do a shot, whatever. A shot of coffee. So I'm partially man, partially machine, partially computer. In actuality, what I'm doing right now. And this has the ability to transcend time, because you can watch this video later. I'm moving through time right now. I'm traveling through time. The clock is ticking. There's the 8-hour clock, the drive time, the total shift, and my duty cycle. Plus, I'm pretty close to changing, crossing into the central time zone from the eastern time zone. You know what I mean? So I'm traveling through time, and I'm traveling through distance. I've been driving for 45 minutes, that thing says. You know what I mean? I'm going 71 miles an hour. You run the math on that, a little bit of time to take off. I drove about 75 miles. And we're all doing this. Everybody's doing this everywhere all the time. And when you guys get together and you'll focus and go the same direction at the same time with you don't want to be like that android on on stupid Star Trek or whatever. Data was his name. And then you can't be like, Spock with just like no emotion. You know what I mean? That's fucking weird too, right? But you need aspects of that to function in today's society. Like, you don't have to have that, but these are tools that we can use. And when we think about those tools and stuff, and we think about how to move forward, you know what I mean? It makes sense to build your house halfway in the ground. Because how much does it cost for the energy to heat and cool your house? Yeah, you're going to have some surprising difficulty with your plumbing if you don't go up the steps and use the bathroom on the second story of your house. This is just engineering. This is just stuff that needs to be dealt with. But if you walk up and down steps, you're going to live longer because you got to walk up and down the steps. It's a fact. And you can take real knowledge and work all this stuff into something that makes sense. Nobody's done that yet. Nobody's done that yet. And just for like building houses, you can take the aspects of everything I said and just go onto a computer and build your house just like you would add stuff to a Chevy truck.
There are police reported ahead.
Spechouse.com. Orders everything from an earth ship to a trailer house. You know what I mean? Do you live in the bayou? Well, we'll bring you this double wide trailer and bring it out there, jack it up, stick pylons underneath it or whatever. I mean, yeah. So, it is what it is. But what does all that look like? It's going to take people with enough resource to obtain these things. Okay? So, going back and looking at, the beginning, here's my deal. I only made it 24 seconds, and I just talked for 47 minutes. Let's go back to the short form. To counter trafficking, the Caleb House, the disaster relief. Okay, so there you go. This is part of taking over the earth. So you got to put boot to ass of the criminal, and you got to save the victim and rehabilitate both to where they're functional and restored, or kill them, whatever. And then like the victim, you got to make sure that they're not going to turn into a criminal later because they have unaddressed hurts. You know what I mean? So these are reps and sets for your security and your judicial. And the Bible study, how you read the whole thing on the deal, and then okay, so the understanding of we were created by a creator. He actually showed up and said, this is how you do it. That's the, Jesus is our model of how to walk out the Torah. Like, what are we going to do if a giant rock falls out of the sky and developed it? Then there's, what took out the dinosaurs type of bullshit or whatever. Do we need a cave and all that kind of stuff? And the ability to address the issue, SWAT team, extractions, how to build the orphanages, and I already talked significantly about the building spaces and stuff like that, and then the communal spaces, and then the individual spaces, and by doing by building out a website where you can have a computer-aided design in your home building. The kids have already been trained to do this. What's that stupid game? Minecraft. Now the powers that be want you to live in a little bitty spot, and in your head, you're free to do whatever. But your reality is an efficiency apartment or smaller, and you're just a drone working for the queen, like a bunch of beehives. You know what I mean? That's why you see all these apartments in these 5-minute cities and stuff like that. That's the whole point of all that. They're not building 5-minute cities. They're building prisons. That's what they're building. You know what I mean? And like, just seeing the transformation in Sanger, Texas, bro, it ain't nothing to sneeze at. And then the other places they're building are like these, I don't even know how to explain it. Like that right there. See what I'm saying? What are they building there?
There are police reported ahead.
Not sure, but there's 5,000 of that going on right now. Everywhere across the country. Everywhere. I don't know what they're building over there. What is that thing? There's the police right there on the camera. Not sure. Oh, it's a new hospital. Oh, and then they're building something else over there. Yeah, so that's like, 100-acre facility. You know what I mean? It ain't Armageddon, dude. Like, yeah, it's something else, man. And I really think that logistics is a big deal. So, like, bringing back the, people that build cars and cars that can be worked on by the people, and then, like, your home ec type stuff, can she cook, whatever. And then you got the, whoever's going to fix these machines. Like, if you have the ability to walk into a factory and do the maintenance inside an automated factory, you're way ahead of the game. Like, you're not going to lose a job. If you'll continue to learn, but you'll go in there and actually fix the machines, yeah, that's a big deal. They want everything to be a subscription and stuff so they can have control over everything. But I don't know, man. How to do reps and sets for civilian action during hazardous conditions. Okay, that's another thing too. So, like, if you're going to be a whole nation, how are you going to respond? Oh, there's a GM facility right there, Fort Wayne. Is that where they make I think they make the trucks over there. How big a company is General Motors? Oh, yeah, it is. They got a couple Chevy trucks out here on the side of the highway. Fort Wayne Assembly Plant. Fort Wayne, Indiana. So, I mean, that's a pretty good size outfit right there. That's some mileage. The force it would take to wipe out Fort Wayne, Indiana. And we got like one submarine that can just do it all. Just ridiculous. What is this big old thing right here? Vera Bradley? I don't know what Vera Bradley is. That's a big outfit. And this is just stuff you can see driving.
There's construction ahead.
And dig a giant hole in the ground that everybody can live in if there's an apocalypse. Hey, baby, let's get back towards the continuity of government. So the strategy on continuity of government would be kind of like Well, let's make a ballroom at the White House. So, I don't know if anybody's aware of this, but Pete Hegseth and some of these other people they live right by the water, and these drones have been in the area quite a bit. So the chances of those they are not going to anybody that's going to rear up against us as a nation. It's not going to be bullets, man. It's not going to be bullets. It'll come down to that eventually. But yeah, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut on that. But the chances of our enemies putting us in a place where we need all this stuff I'm talking about is real. It's very real. It's very, very real. And you, the individual, you got to take care of yourself. You've got to be squared away. That way you can get your family squared away. And they got to be squared away enough that you can take care of your community. And if you're not in a community where the average person can chamber around and skin a goat, if it does go bad, and the Bible says it will, you're beyond fucked. Go to each of the Cherokees and do expanded, like the old cement bunkers. Okay, I was talking about a root cellar and a structure to protect from tornadoes. So if you got your cellar in place and then build your house on top of it, your whole house pad is 2 foot in the ground, but then you got a cellar underneath that, safe room, panic room, whatever like that, with a trench to 2 secondary escape routes from the cellar. So you go into the cellar from the house, but you got 2 different ways to come out. Real basic shit. Like I built, allegedly, a guy has made thousands of these things. Anyway, far, far away. The galaxy made up in my mind. So yeah, continuity of my family. How is my family going to make it? And build them and do the food pantry type stuff and store that stuff and then have capacity for everyone to go in there and food to eat while they're in there. Okay, so how are we going to make sure that everyone in the Cherokee Nation has a bomb shelter and a food pantry and a root cellar and a tornado shelter? Like, that's 4 major boxes to be checking out. Okay, there's a guy, I think he was over by Fort Smith, Arkansas. It was like the longest standoff in America. I forget the guy's name. What was his name? Ned Christie. Okay, so if you go from about, I don't know, Muldrow, and you just head to like Locust Grove, Oklahoma, maybe go up to like Southwest City, Missouri, circle back through Branson, come on down to about Little Rock, honestly, and circle back through the significant that extends south of there. But that's specifically the area that piques my interest. And then there's the, from there south, that'd be more of your Choctaw Nation. But the Cherokee Nation is in Oklahoma, and there's more than enough for myself and my family there. So I would try to institute there first. And if somebody from the internet can put the thing together that is a presentable to the Cherokee, presentable to the Seneca Cayuga, presentable to the Creek, the Osage, the Ponca, and United Tribes of Don't Die, and just with the 7 clans model, and put something together that's almost like a coalition of do-right and a freaking list of when it goes to shit. We're going to fall back to, and then from there we can fall back to, and if it's over there, everybody from there can come over here. And if it's down there, we can move up yonder and get off the X. And what does that look like? And then how are we going to fund this? I mean, that's the best part. Freaking trucks, man. Freaking trucks and crews of guys working on the road. You get a crew of guys together ripping a house, bro. I've done a lot of different things, and you got these different crews of dudes and stuff like that and everything, and it's a big deal to just go out there to your neighbor and be like, hey, I know you got this skid steer and you do dirt work and stuff like that, but I'm a roofer. This is what I do. And network that type of situation, and grow it into what it can become. Grow it into what it can become. And thrive as we walk into the next Trail of Tears. The big one. Where they try to document us. And if we take the mark of the beast, we burn in hell. I don't want nobody to go to hell. Okay, you have your assignment. Let's shut up now. Rock Hill, go get him. If you get this all wrapped up by noon, and that would be great. Discuss this amongst yourselves. Share the video with whoever is like-minded. This is not a joke. This is my plan that I'm slowly developing. And yeah, be in the hands and feet of Jesus. God help us all. Amen. Go get him. Rock Hill.